For this example, we want to sketch the graph of a tangent function and figure out its period where the asymptotes are nearest to 0. So we know the general shape of a tangent function has the two asymptotes and it goes upwards between them. What happens if we change some of the parameters here? So in this case, since it's tangent of 3x, the period should be 1/3 its original value. Since the period for tangent is just pi, the period for this graph should be pi over 3. And furthermore, for the asymptotes, normally the asymptotes of tangent are at plus and minus pi over 2 are the first two near 0. So for this, because I'm shrinking it in by a factor of 3 because of the horizontal compression by a factor of 3, this should become asymptotes at plus or minus pi over 6. Now how do we draw this graph? Well, let's start by drawing the axes and the asymptotes that we're going to fill in between. And the main thing to keep in mind here is the fact that our graph was tangent of 3x plus 1, which means the normal tangent when you hit the middle line between the two asymptotes is always at 0, because tangent of 0 is 0. Because we're doing tangent 3x plus 1, I have to shift that value up by 1. So at 0, instead of being at 0 where I'd be before, I should cross through here at 1 and not at 0. So my graph, instead of going through the origin, will look something like this, where it comes up this way, still curves in like normal, passes through here at 1 instead of 0, and then takes off to the vertical asymptote up like this, as we have the same pattern in every little section here. Because this graph is periodic with period pi over 3. So let's say you really want to sketch graph this function, shrink the asymptotes in, right? These asymptotes here are at pi over 6 on both sides, and the next ones are at pi over 2 on both sides. And then do the vertical shift as needed to make sure the text does the right thing for the graph you're supposed to draw when you're trying to draw the graph of these trigonometric functions.